My name is Tsering Wangmo Dhompa. I am a poet. One of the pleasures of writing poetry is playing with images and words to think across and make connections between disparate texts, memories, ideas, and voices. A common experience for Tibetans growing up with Tibetan elders is being prompted not to kill insects and flies and mosquitoes. So even today, I can hear my mother's voice when I charge at a housefly. I wanted to convey that in a poem. I was also reading The Words of My Perfect Teacher by Paturumche, translated into English by the Padmakara Translation Group, and I was reading about the categories of life. So I thought about, what my mother would say, and I realized that what she was telling me was part of a much more complex knowledge about causality, life, rebirth, and the preciousness of human existence. So I wanted to bring them all in a poem. So this is what it sounds like. I'll pause very briefly at the end of each line to indicate a line break. After learning about precious human life, we learn of categories: ordinary human life, bare human life, hapless, meaningless human life. Last week, I killed more ants than I can pour on this page. I wiped them off the kitchen counter before I could see them. Before regret planted itself, I thought, then kept moving. I had no choice. Their mobility and my intention, their instinct and my hand's decision to strike. The completion of the task equaled a clear counter. You have taken what was not yours, she would have said. You will have incessant life for having taken life, according to the book. You will be the turtle, sidling at the depths of the world's oceans. In writing this piece, I thought about the form first. I wanted to preserve a conversational tone, but I wanted a form that was contained, visually. In other words, I wanted freedom in movement within a formal container. And because this is a poem of 15 lines, I focused on line breaks to give structure to how it looked and sounded. Line breaks help with the pace of a poem, whether it is to slow the poem down or to make it skip. You can also sort of control where the eyes pause or where the eyes sort of move, right? So this also affects the energy in the poem. So for example, the line, human life, last week I killed more ants. I wanted this line to be able to sort of be read in isolation, to focus on sort of conditions of human life and acts of violence. So I used the line to keep tension between sort of action and reflection. I also played with meter in this poem, and by that I mean the stress on words or syllable count. Other questions I considered were, should a line conclude with a punctuation? Should it run into and over several lines? I repeated certain words. I wanted, sort of movement in the poem. These are all decisions that help with the way a poem looks, how it sounds, and the emotions it is able to convey. Thank you.